2005. More on all of this from Andre Scholl of BET News.
The International AIDS Conference in Barcelona, Spain began with a mixture of messages. First, news that a potential AIDS vaccine could be ready within the next few years. The hope is that new drugs could protect people from a disease that threatens to wipe out a quarter of the workforce in Africa over the next 20 years. World health officials say the international community needs to do more.
What we see is if without that effective response taken up by all countries, we would have to expect another 45 million new infections between now and the year 2010.
Researchers also say finding an AIDS cure is not likely in the near future. The news comes amid a grim CDC report which finds that 90% of black gay men under 30 with HIV said they did not know their status. The study of participants in 6 cities also finds that 70% of Hispanics and 60% of whites said they too were unaware of their infection. A disturbing sign that AIDS outreach coordinators like Trina Scott have a lot of work to do.
To say that they don't know that they're HIV positive is kind of discouraging because there's so many free services out there for young people today, but they don't take advantage of it.
Participants at this conference of the National Minority AIDS Council in Washington, D.C. say community groups need to take up the slack when public awareness campaigns fail to reach the black community.
There's all kinds of faith-based organizations that are willing to step out here to deal with the issue. We need it in our pulpits. We need it in our programs. We need it in our schools. We need mamas and daddies to be talking to their kids and be aware of what their kids are. It goes the whole gambit.
Blacks comprise more AIDS cases than any other group in the U.S. In 2000, blacks accounted for 43% of AIDS cases, whites 34%, and Hispanics 21%. Some experts note a lack of access to health care and a hesitance to talk about the issue as reasons why AIDS disproportionately impacts African Americans.
We need to let our people know how to protect themselves, and hopefully by being able to talk a little bit about sexual behavior, we'll be able to get that message across. We don't have enough of that, and I think that's a barrier.
AIDS activists I spoke with are despondent that despite their work, minorities continue to contract AIDS at alarming rates. Now they want Congress to boost funding and educate people that AIDS is both incurable yet highly preventable. In Washington, Andre Scholl for CBS News.
Government researchers are spending about $20 million to find the key to a longer life, much longer life. The 3-year study focuses on how a particular diet may stretch the human lifespan to 100 years and beyond. Medical correspondent Elizabeth Caledon has the story in this morning's Eye on America.
At the National Institutes of Health, scientists, with the help of monkeys, may be unlocking the mysteries of long life. The answer, it seems, is not the magic of technology or powerful new drugs, but something much simpler. Food. A lot less food.
There's no question that diet contributes to aging and disease.
For 15 years, researchers have compared rhesus monkeys fed normal diets to those fed 30% less. The monkeys eating fewer calories have lived much longer and avoided disease.
We have determined that several markers of potential age-related disease have been reduced in the monkeys on calorie restriction.
How eating less affects the aging process is still unclear. One theory is, simply put, that when the body has fewer calories, it has to decide more wisely how to use them, and they tend to be invested in self-preservation.
If we can begin to understand what it is that relates to the fact that you can get this extension of life and then put it in a bottle, have it as a medicine, that might be fantastic.
The basement kitchen.
Dean Pomerleau isn't waiting for any medicine. Convinced by the animal studies, he and a small group of people are already practicing calorie restriction in the hopes of living longer.
Ideally, I'd like to shoot for 120.
120 years.
Yeah. Eat my salad.
3 times a day, Pomerleau consumes huge portions of salad.
It's heavy.
It's about 6 pounds worth of vegetables that I eat in a day.
He also eats sprouts homegrown in his basement, fruit,
Orange Ruffy tonight.
and small quantities of lean protein like fish.
The bulk of the diet that I eat keeps me from getting hungry.
In 2.5 years, Dean's lost 45 pounds. The extreme thinness has meant brittler bones and a decreased libido, but his health, he says, is better than ever.
I haven't had a cold that's lasted more than half a day in the 2.5 years since I started. I think my mood and sense of well-being have improved substantially since beginning the diet.
Pomerleau admits it's extreme, but
I see it as worth it to experience more of life to give up a slice of pizza.
that is unlikely to be a view shared by most Americans, now notorious for loving their food. So even if calorie restriction does work in extending human years, scientists may find their biggest challenge is convincing people to trade in quality of life for quantity of life. In Wexford, Pennsylvania, I'm Elizabeth Caledon for Eye on America.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, the meeting's at 1, right?
Uh-huh.
See you there.
Slim Fast Meal on the Go bars. Nutritional meal options to help you manage your weight. It's your life. Feed it right.
For unbearable, dry, itchy skin, there's a lotion so effective, it's in the itch care aisle. New Lanacane Body Lotion. It's medicated, vitamin-enriched, helps heal itch-causing dryness for long-lasting relief. New Lanacane Body Lotion.
Ew.
Hello, pretty lady, we just came to say for bad water stains, use Lime Away. Beats the leading brand every time. Sticks much longer, it's mighty fine.
Lime Away, a tough act to beat.
There is a rhythm to life. We sleep at night and wake in the morning. It's this sleep cycle that helps keep us in a healthy balance. But for millions of Americans, sleep doesn't always come easy. Fortunately, there's Ambien. Ambien is a prescription sleep aid that can help you get a full night's sleep. While natural sleep is best, Ambien helps you fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and wake rested and refreshed, not groggy the next morning. No wonder Ambien is the #1 prescribed sleep aid in America. Until you know how Ambien will affect you, you shouldn't drive or operate machinery. Side effects may include drowsiness, dizziness, and diarrhea. You shouldn't take it with alcohol. Patients who abuse prescription sleep aids may become dependent. Prescription sleep aids are most often taken for 7 to 10 days as needed. Your doctor will advise you about taking them longer. Take Ambien only when you can devote a full 7 to 8 hours to sleep and wake rested and ready to start your day. Talk to your doctor about Ambien. Ambien works like a dream.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, the meeting's at 1, right?
Uh-huh.
See you there.
Slim Fast Meal on the Go bars. Nutritional meal options to help you manage your weight. It's your life. Feed it right.
Paul is head of security for a major bank, and he's got a problem.
We had one branch in Boston that was robbed 3 times in a 3-week period.
Bank heists are up, way up. So what's happened? Eye on America investigated, and what we found may surprise you tonight on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. Now there are 3 great places to get the best in financial news. CBS Television, CBS Radio, and at cbs.marketwatch.com. CBS, your eye on the market. Bank robberies are way up, so what's happened? The story tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Welcome back. It's now 19 past the hour. Top stories on Up to the Minute. President Bush, growing very testy at times, defends his decade-old dealings as an oil company director. The questions came during a preview of today's policy speech he'll deliver on Wall Street. It proposes new penalties, including more jail time for corporate executives who lie on financial statements. Republican senators plan to force a vote today on a proposed nuclear waste site in Nevada. President Bush wants to bury 77,000 tons of nuclear waste inside Yucca Mountain, about 90 miles northwest of Las Vegas. And in the first high-level talks in months, Israeli Foreign Minister Shimon Peres and Palestinian Finance Minister Salam Fayyad meet in West Jerusalem. They talked for 90 minutes, mainly about economic issues. The pharmaceutical giant Merck denies any wrongdoing, but says one of its units recorded over $12 billion in revenue that it never collected. The latest blow to investor confidence sent the Dow tumbling more than 104 points. The Nasdaq lost nearly 43. Now more on Bernie Ebbers, one of the men at the center of the WorldCom meltdown. While he wasn't talking to Congress, CBS's Anthony Mason found some people talking about him.
In the hometown of WorldCom, he's a household name.
We all know Bernie Ebbers.
And in Clinton, Mississippi, folks want to know what former CEO Bernie Ebbers knew about the $4 billion fraud at WorldCom.
I'm hoping that he was not involved because we all have trusted him very much.
Let's go ahead. Canadian-born, Ebers went to Mississippi College on a basketball scholarship. He stayed to run a motel chain, then bought a little long-distance company and built it through dozens of acquisitions like MCI into a telecom powerhouse.
Bernie Ebers taught us that Mississippians could do things that people thought were not possible.
That's why Clinton's mayor, Rosemary Altman, says,
we're not going to bash Bernie Ebers until we know this whole story here.
But Ebers wasn't telling his story. He took the fifth.
Even though I do not believe I have anything to hide.
Ebers, who Business Week once called the telecom cowboy, was always known as more of a deal maker than a manager. Could he have missed the fraud inside the company he ran for 17 years? WorldCom's new CEO, John Sidgmore, who worked with Ebers, says,
we don't know anything about Bernie. We don't know whether he was involved. We don't know whether he wasn't involved.
But back in Clinton, Mississippi, that answer just isn't good enough.
A lot of people are upset because they just don't have enough information. They don't know what the CEO knew. And in the absence of information, we'll make up our own best story. And that leaves a very ugly feeling for the community.
In May, as WorldCom's stock was sliding, Ebers was forced out as president and CEO. The SEC and Justice Department are now investigating his conduct. And Ebers could have serious financial troubles, too. He still owes WorldCom $366 million in loans. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
How about this? Your forecast is not going to cost you a dime. A few thunderstorms in the southern Rockies and parts of the Southwest, and a system that extends as showers and thunderstorms into the plains. You'll also find stormy weather from the lower Midwest to the Northeast and scattered thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast into the Southeast. High temps today, 70s in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, 80s in the Northwest, Rockies, Ohio Valley, parts of New England and Florida, 90s in much of the West, Plains, Southeast and East Coast, triple digits and then some in the desert Southwest. Well, it's the deep freeze at the center of a family feud that's attracting national attention. The children of one of America's heroes are fighting not over his assets, but his body. CBS's Bobby Harley has the latest.
Somewhere in this Scottsdale, Arizona cryonics laboratory may be baseball's greatest hitter, Ted Williams, suspended in liquid nitrogen at 320 degrees below zero.
My dad's in a metal tube on his head, so frozen that if I touched him, it would crack him because of the warmth from my fingertips.
Faster than Williams could round the bases in life, it seems his son, John Henry, who recently started his own minor league baseball career, put him on ice after his death Friday in Florida, carrying out a plan his older half-sister says is not what the baseball great wanted.
Daddy wants to be cremated, first of all.
Instead, Bobby Jo Farrell accuses her half-brother of storing Williams's body, maybe even only his head, at the country's largest cryonics center.
He said that it would be really interesting to sell Dad's DNA.
The theory being that the extreme cold can preserve tissue, and one day, when scientists figure out how to do it, bring him back to life. Or for now, keep the legend producing revenue.
John Henry Williams has been a problem in this regard for a long time. Even in death, John Henry is apparently finding a way to exploit Daddy to make a buck.
And priceless is what some collectors say a vial of Williams's DNA would be.
There's always someone that will want to buy something, and especially the different things is what you get into, the specialty items that most people won't have.
John Henry Williams isn't commenting. Bobby Jo Farrell is considering legal action, leaving the Williams case on ice indefinitely. Bobby Harley, CBS News, Miami.
Most people take breathing for granted, but not me, because I've had asthma most of my life. I know what it's like to cough and strain just to take your next breath. I've learned that if I take my medications and see my doctor on a regular basis, I can breathe sweet and rap sweet. Take control of your asthma. Don't let it take control of you. Call 1-800-7-ASTHMA and learn how. I'm Coolio with the flow, and that's 1-800-7-ASTHMA. Peace.
Energy prices are just too high. That's what drove us to attempt the first static electricity-powered home. Success has been elusive. Besides making the house itself more energy efficient, the smartest thing we did was adding Energy Star products. Static electricity may not be viable, but at least we've taken a step for our future. Anybody can make their home more energy efficient.
Good night, sweetie. Good night, Mommy.
Did you ever have chickenpox as a child? For millions of Americans, the virus can come back as a painful rash called shingles, and after shingles as postherpetic neuralgia, an even more painful nerve condition. I don't have shingles or PHN, but I've talked to patients who do, and they describe it as electric shocks and fire under the skin. That's why I've teamed up with the Visiting Nurse Associations of America to urge patients and caregivers to learn more. There's no cure yet, but today there is hope.
My father was a great hitter, but he knew that life was about more than just one game.
The easy way out, or the right thing to do.
So when that umpire made a bad call that ended the game for Dad,
No matter the decision,
and then needed help with his car, my father made the right call.
the easy way out,
Helping others.
or the right thing to do.
Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Did he do it on purpose? George Michael has managed to anger two governments with one video. Simon Bates has a comment from London.
I've known George Michael on and off for 20 years or so, and I still can't quite work out what makes him tick. On the surface, it's a classic rags to riches story. The son of an immigrant leaves school with nothing, forms one of the most successful bands of the 80s, then he gracefully abandons his partner and sets off on a solo career, becoming one of the richest and most sophisticated singers in the world. 67 million albums. That's how many George Michael has sold worldwide. And if you've ever seen him live, you'll know that he is on stage that indefinable thing, a star. Go to the small village in southern England where he lives and you won't hear a word against him. When he picks up the Sunday newspapers, he stands in line like everybody else. Someone said to me, he's a gentleman. When he's in London or Los Angeles, he leads, by his own admission, a rather more colourful life. And like any star, he can be pretty difficult if it looks like he isn't getting his own way. Remember years ago when he fought his record company in court, saying that he wouldn't make a record again until he was free of them. Even when he lost that case, George stuck to his guns until a legal compromise made him master of his own musical destiny. These days, it isn't the music that gets him talking, it's something in his personal life. That incident in Los Angeles, for example, or the present spat over Shoot the Dog. Now, bear with me, there might be some people who haven't heard his new record or seen the video that goes with it. In the video, which is animated in more senses than one, a cartoon George in a leopard skin thong tries to get into bed with the British Prime Minister's wife. Okay, it's not in very good taste, but good taste and rock and roll have never been synonymous, and in this country, most people think that anyone in politics is fair game for satire. The record is another thing. The lyrics are pretty oblique, though they seem to be aimed against armed conflict of any kind, and our Prime Minister and your President in particular. They don't have the clarity or the punch of Woody Guthrie or Bob Dylan, but neither did Isaac Hayes. George has produced a record that's meant to shock an adult generation, and that isn't a bad thing. Pop music, from the Bobby Soxers through Bill Haley, Elvis, the Stones, punk and rap, has always set out to do that, and in the process sell a few million to rebellious kids. And that's where George may have got it wrong. You see, when a pop star has all the material things, there's only one measure of his value that's left, his record sales. I remember watching Mick Jagger pace the floor when the sales figures were due in on one of his singles. And for a man like George Michael, who controls every detail of his life, criticism doesn't matter that much. Sales do. Only they will be proof that he can still cut it and hasn't misjudged this situation. This is Simon Bates for CBS News in London.
Experience CBS News.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, July 9th. From CBS News in New York City, I'm Melissa McDermott. Here's what's happening. President Bush tells Congress the agenda's full, time is short, and the nation is watching. In his 6th White House news conference, President Bush says he wants action on winning the war on terror, protecting the homeland, and strengthening the economy, all within budget confines.
As Congress works on all this important legislation, it must keep a tight hand on taxpayers' money. Excessive government spending is a drag or will be a drag on our economy.
Today, President Bush goes to Wall Street. In a speech there, he'll try to reassure Americans and investors worldwide that his administration will play hardball with corporate executives who lie or cook the books.
I am a believer in the free enterprise system, but I'm also a strong believer in holding people accountable when they betray the trust of employees and shareholders, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
The president faced several questions about his own past transactions. When he was director at Harkin Energy, he sold more than $850,000 in stock just before the company announced big losses. Mr. Bush was late in reporting the sale. The SEC investigated but declined action.
All I can tell you is that in the corporate world, sometimes things aren't exactly black and white when it comes to accounting procedures, and the SEC's job is to look.
Mr. Bush spoke after WorldCom's former CEO and CFO refused to testify at a congressional hearing probing the firm's accounting problems. Bob Schieffer reports.
And raise your right hand.
It's becoming a routine scene. Congress swears in top executives to explain the latest big business scandal. This time, the collapse of WorldCom, but again, the men in charge wouldn't talk. So Congress lit into the outside auditors, again from Arthur Andersen of Enron fame.
It is incomprehensible to me that a major accounting firm could have such a dismal record.
Didn't any red flags appear?
Unlike the Enron scandal with its secret insider deals, the collapse of communications giant WorldCom, a collapse that cost investors $175 billion, is fairly simple. The company overstated its earnings by $3.8 billion by listing many expenses as capital investments. When the accounting tricks became public, company stock that once sold for more than $60 a share plunged to only a few cents. 17,000 employees were laid off. Bernard Ebbers, the man who ran the company until April, was said to be such a penny pincher that he monitored how much toilet tissue the company bought. What Congress wants to know was why he borrowed $400 million from the company. But he denied wrongdoing, took the fifth, and refused to answer questions.
I believe that no one will conclude that I engaged in any criminal or fraudulent conduct.
Scott Sullivan, the company's former top financial officer, made $34 million cashing in company stock in recent years, but Congress couldn't find out if he knew the company's real worth. He took the fifth, too.
I respectfully will not answer questions based upon my Fifth Amendment right.
Frustrated committee members turned up little new, but the Senate began work on new legislation with real teeth, which will put accountants under strict new federal regulation and make it easier to prosecute company officers who turn in false financial reports.
And here's the bottom line. A month ago, those reforms were going nowhere, but this WorldCom mess has put such a scare into Congress that all sides now agree the reforms will soon be written into law. What happens to the WorldCom executives is not yet clear. Bob Schieffer, CBS News at the Capitol.
And on the CBS Market Watch, stocks in Tokyo today gained 191 points to close at 10,960. This morning on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials begin trading at 9,274. That's down 104 points. The NASDAQ Composite Index is at 1,405, off 42. Texas Governor Rick Perry says the full extent of the damage from the flooding in his state won't be known until the waters recede. But he says the impact is widespread.
It's about 3.6 million Texans that are impacted. That's more than the entire state of Oklahoma. That's the size and the gravity and the scope.
Perry says flooding has done an estimated $1 billion in damage. The death toll has now reached 9. More rain is in the forecast. In an echo of the Rodney King case, a police officer in the Los Angeles suburb of Inglewood has been relieved of duty for hitting a handcuffed black teenager in the face after slamming him onto a car trunk. The incident was captured on videotape by a tourist. The Pentagon is confirming what Afghan officials have been saying for a week, that a U.S. airstrike killed and injured civilians last week. But it's not saying what the casualty count is.
The issue of the number of civilian casualties and civilians killed is much less clear. We know they occurred, and we regret every one of them, but we do not have hard and fast numbers from what we have seen thus far.
Afghan officials say the U.S. attacked and killed more than 40 civilians and wounded more than 100, many of them women and children. Cockpit voice recorders from the two jets that collided over Germany last week suggest the pilot of a Russian jetliner may have lost valuable seconds trying to sort through the conflicting messages. The troubles don't stop there. In all, 71 people died, most of them Russian children on their way to a vacation in Spain. Mark Phillips reports.
Even as some of the victims of last week's crash, most of them school children, were being buried, there was further evidence of just how the fates and a suspect air traffic control system had conspired against them. Among those being laid to rest was the Russian plane's captain, a man who, it seems, faced an impossible choice in the last moments of his life. It was revealed today that the captain of the Tupolev 154 received contradictory instructions in the seconds before the crash. His onboard TCAS anti-collision system told him to climb. But a second later, the air traffic controller on the ground told him to descend. The Russian followed the controller's instructions and began to lose altitude, just as the pilot of the DHL cargo plane was doing the same thing on instructions from his TCAS system. It was a fatal clash of aviation cultures.
Normally, Western pilots will follow the instructions in the TCAS, but in the Russian system, you have the situation where pilots have been advised that the controllers will have a better overview of the whole picture, so they should respond to the controller's command.
The crash could even have been avoided moments earlier when German controllers noticed the planes on a collision course and tried to call and warn the Swiss center that was controlling the flights. But the line was